If you stay to the end of this video, you'll be able to steal all the knowledge I've learned from sending over 1 million cold emails in 2025. So, with that being said, let's just jump into it. So the first concept I want to talk about is going to be deliverability. I want to talk about this because I feel like it's a topic that a lot of people have concerns about in the cold email world. Obviously, like you want to land in the inbox, but I feel like a lot of people overcomplicate it. And what I'm going to be talking about with the in the deliverability section of this video, it's not so much of how your deliverability is so bad. It's more about the fact that everyone overcomplicates deliverability and they do all these different things to try to perfect it, but they never actually perfect it because they're using the wrong things. So the truth behind deliverability, or the truth with deliverability, is it's very simple, right? There's a defined quantity of things you must do, and there's a defined quantity of things you should not be doing. You should set up your DKIM, DMARC, and SPF records on your domains. You should avoid spam words at all costs. You should use a private sequencer that lets you send from a tool with a private IP. So Google and Outlook know that you have good IP reputation. You should keep your email account volume low when it starts out and keep increasing your sending volume as it goes up. You should not be tracking open rates, right? And adding HTML to your emails. You should not be sending links or files or attachments to your emails. You should not use a private infrastructure like Superwave or Mailscale, where they create email accounts, specifically for cold email, right? Google and Alex see through that. You should not try to go against the system or anything like that. You should use what works, right? So we used to look at deliverability on a super detailed level, like very, very algorithmic, doing everything we could to make sure our deliverability is spot on, and that kind of just led us nowhere, right? We would, right, do multiple inbox placement tests per week to see what our deliverability was. We would have multiple infrastructure providers to diversify. We would register domains on several registrars. We would buy accounts with proxies and use unique credit cards. We would rotate our accounts actively, and all of this did absolutely nothing. What this did was this kept leading us in the same loop of bad deliverability because we were trying out too many different things that were consistently not working. We'll get right back into the video, but I just want to share with you guys my cold email coaching program called Lead Academy. So with Lead Academy, you get a 7-day free trial to access, one-on-one coaching calls with us, me and my team. You get data scrapers like Google My Business scrapers, Build with scrapers, Clutch scrapers, company name formatters, everything you would need, a full toolkit for cold email. You get a full course that teaches you everything about cold email. Once you go through the course, you'll understand everything about cold email. And again, right, we have tons of case studies here proving that we know what we're talking about. So if this does sound good, start your 7-day free trial with a link in the description, and I'll see you there. Now, our deliverability setup is extremely, extremely simple. We use one domain registrar, one account reseller, one sequencer, private sequencer, one credit card, and biweekly inbox placement tests. And that is it. My personal opinion is that humans have a natural tendency to try to complicate things because it makes us feel like we're better than, or we're trying so many things. So, something will work out. It's just a human tendency. But in reality, true sophistication is within simplicity. Managing to keep something as effective as cold email, streamlined and replicatable is a lot easier than having to get an IT degree from Harvard just to set up some email accounts, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is you do not want to overcomplicate deliverability. Again, it's the first step into making sure you're obviously, with cold email, to make sure your domains or your email accounts are actually landing, or emails are actually landing in the inbox. Again, I feel like a lot of people overcomplicate things with deliverability. They try out all these crazy things. It really isn't that crazy. What you should be doing is you should be using private sequencers that give you access to, or make sure that Google and Alec know you're sending from an IP that has good reputation, and you aren't sharing your IP with other people that are sending spammy emails. You should not be using spam words, and doing all these things constantly will get you to land in the inbox rather than spam consistently. Now, the second thing I learned is that the only thing that matters is the offer. What I'm going to say right now, right, will shock a lot of people, but it is the complete truth. Angles, scripts, subject lines, intent signals, clay, follow-ups, automations, and all of these other tactics are 99% of the time irrelevant. The only thing that will make a campaign work, good or bad, is the offer, and that is it. If you sell a generic service to a generic market, even if you're good at it, it's just not going to work. You need something new, something bold, and something that will set you aside from everyone else. And that doesn't mean you can still offer something like SEO or paid ads, right? That means you still could, but it just means that if you needed to offer them, you need to offer it in a way that doesn't seem like it's the same thing as everyone else. This is a big concept that I like to talk about in my cold email coaching program, Lead Academy, where you want to be a specialist rather than a generalist. You want to be someone that when someone opens up your email, they say, "Wow, this person knows my pain points. He can provide the solutions to my pain points because he has case studies to prove he knows what he's talking about." All these different things play into the fact of cold email, where you are sending an email personally to someone, and again, they're going to go with you rather than someone else if they feel that the offer is pertains more to them than a general and broad audience, right? Now, I know what you're probably thinking, right? Tyler, how do I run a ecom marketing agency? How can you expect me to position my offer differently? The honest answer is that if you want to make a lot of money with your company, you're going to have to figure it out. Right. I have a lot of videos on positioning, angles, offers, stuff like that. And there's a lot of resources on the internet. I mean, again, like people make multiple 8, 9 figures per year through the information they get from the internet. So your best bet is to possibly funnel hack your competitors, see what they're doing. And number two, just do the research on your offering and test out multiple factors in your emails to see who relates or is responding more and booking more calls from your offer. It's very simple, right? Now, in terms of testing angles, subject lines, copy, and all that jazz, it really doesn't make that big of an impact as you might think. Right? You can play around with those factors and make your campaigns 10, 20% better, use little things and increase the percentage a little bit. But at the end of the day, your offer does 90% of the job. Right? I explain this a lot, in my coaching program where a lot of people are saying like, hey, I'm about to launch my first campaign. I want to use Clay. I want to do all these things. When you launch an initial campaign with Clay or with AI or all these things, and they tell me that it doesn't work, I'm not surprised because they haven't tested out their offer, right? It's kind of like wrapping this is a good example. It's like wrapping a terrible gift. Like imagine you got this for Christmas, a fully drinking water bottle, and you wrapped it in a nice gold perfect wrap. At the end of the day, when the person opens up the gift or AKA opens up the email, it's still not a good offer. Like they don't want the actual thing you're providing them. So why don't you work and make the thing that you're providing them a bar of gold or something super valuable, aka having a good offer. And then once a lot of people respond and keep wanting more of your thing, then you wrap it in, a cool wrapping paper, aka using Clay and AI to enhance the offer. You want to consistently launch cold email campaigns with your offering that is going to convert a lot of people, right? Once a lot of people say, okay, this offer is good, I want to move forward with this offer, whatever it is, you start seeing a lot of traction with your offer. Then you start to add in Clay and optimize that specific offer and drive more results from the results you're already getting. You don't want to use it as a tool or something that in the initial part of your cold email, thinking it'll just work off the bat. You have to test out your offer, test out factors, and then add in all these other angles, scripts, these other factors that will drive up the results after offer already is, confirmed and working. Now, the next thing is going to be that the bottleneck is data, right? The biggest bottleneck of cold email is always and will always be data. The person with the most amount of data will always be on top. You need to have infrastructure to scrape any data platform that might be on the market, right? Ideally, you have access to Apollo, right? Zoom Info, PitchBook, and all the other softwares that are relevant. Again, this is not realistic when you're getting started with cold email or just trying to, book in calls or get leads with cold email, because it costs like upwards of 6 figures to get all of this data. Like data is very expensive nowadays. Like it's data. Like it's always been expensive. But this is something that you need to keep aware of, just to kind of set that expectation coming into cold email. Is that no matter what, like if you're running paid ads for yourself, you have access to billions of people on Facebook and Instagram constantly. When you're starting out, right, Apollo, they have access to 200 million people. Is it infinite? No. Is it decently low compared to paid ads or anything like that? Yes. Is that bad? Not really, just because, again, you can just be the best in the industry, right? You can be better than your competitors. You can send more compelling emails to that industry. But at the end of the day, you want to just keep in mind and keep it at the back of your head, that you always will be, you know, the big bottleneck will be data. And the more money you make, the more money you should be investing into data, like Zoom Info PitchBook, to consistently scale and reach out to more people that could use your offer. That's just something I want to mention. Now, a big thing that you guys might hate me for is that cold email does not work for everyone. So this might come off as striking for some of you, but it is the honest truth. For a lot of businesses, cold email is not the best channel, and it's outright just not logical for them to do. So let's define who can work with cold email, or who cold email can work for. B2B businesses. You have to be a B2B business. If you do cold email for B2C and you're contacting consumers and just everyday people, it is heavily illegal, and you should not be doing that. It's only for B2B. Number two, define ICP. If you sell to everyone without any sort of qualification criteria, it's just not going to work. If your service can apply to everyone, you have a general marketing service, you offer SEO, paid ads, all these different things, and you can service everyone, cold email will not work for you, because people understand when your messaging is not tailored to them. You want your messaging to be you want to have a specific service that solves a specific problem for a specific person. If your offer does not represent that structure, that 3S structure, you will not be able to do cold email successfully. And that's that, right? I really want you to understand that, because we've had clients in the past that sometimes just don't get results, and we try to go as specific as we can, but they're like, no, we don't want to go specific with our offer. We want to provide it to everyone. We want to keep it broad. You could do that, but you will not get a lot of results. Cold email is a one-to-one channel. It's a personal messaging channel. You want to be as specific as possible. You want to confront the pain of the person you are emailing, which is in a personal setting, and you want to provide a personal solution and provide a solution to their specific problem in a specific way. That's what you want to do, and that's how to actually scale through cold email. Next thing is going to be your ICP with online. Your ICP does not have an online presence. If you sell to laundromats or dog walkers or something like that, you're not going to get results with cold email. Cold email is made to contact decently big companies with a social presence. Companies that have a LinkedIn, that have an Instagram, Facebook, small mom and pop shops, gas stations, liquor stores, stuff like that. They're not going to be on LinkedIn, and if they're not on LinkedIn, they're not going to be able to be cold emailed. So I just want to set that precedent, right? Industries where it's very unlikely, just to start out and be blunt, consulting and coaching. If you sell any sort of coaching, it's very improbable that you're going to get results with cold email, just because, if you have a coaching program for people trying to get into whatever your service is or whatever you're trying to teach in coaching, finding those people, they would have to be business owners or people that work at businesses, which that just is super improbable with cold email, just because you have to get access to these people that are either CEOs, owners, founders of companies, or employees. So that just really wouldn't apply. If you have a low TAM business, so if you sell to a very low addressable market, if it's way too specific where your total addressable market is like 1,000 people or 2,000 people, you're just not going to be able to scale with cold email. Cold email, you need, again, as I mentioned before, with the bottleneck with data, you need as much data as possible, and you need to juice out your TAM as much as possible. So having a low TAM to start will not help you in the long term. Next thing is going to be B2B is not to solopreneur. Dog walkers are obviously not a real business, so you can't target dog walkers or people that just have a side hustle with their business or a small business. You just need to target businesses that are corporate businesses, big businesses, e-commerce companies, marketing companies, software companies that have a social presence and are an actual B2B business, right? Industries where cold email is extremely effective. Industries where you have a unique offer. For example, podcasting as PR channel for nonprofits, right? We've had clients in the past where they are a PR agency, so they help with your PR as a founder of a company, and they help specifically nonprofits, right? Specific problem, specific solution for a specific person. Perfect. That's why it worked. Very specific offer. Works very well. Businesses with high TAM, right? E-commerce marketing agencies. There's literally 13 million active websites for e-commerce brands you can get right now on store leads. Perfect. That's a good example. very online present, right? Any large company with with a big online presence, right, plays into the fact where you don't want to target those small mom and pop shops, only really big companies. Unique positioning. Let's say that you place setters in a business, right, which is a basic offer, but you offer a complete refund if they don't get at least 20 to 30 appointments. Perfect. You have a really specific offer, specific person, specific, solution, whatever. But you have a guarantee with it. Perfect. That's going to work a lot better through cold email because you are just adding in those different mechanisms that make you stand out from the crowd, right? So that's something that I just want to cover. And again, the point with this I'm trying to make is that you'll never know for certain if cold email will or will not work for you. We've had clients in the past where we were kind of iffy on if it would work, but it seemed to work very well, and it did, and they were star clients, closed tons of deals. But just based on our past experience, again, we're pretty good at this, and we kind of can set up. We have set up in our agency like an algorithm that kind of tells us if this would be a good client or not to sign based on their qualification metrics, who they sign, who they work with, and if their offer would work, and cold email in general. So that's that. I just want to cover that as well. So number 5, cold email isn't just email. If you think that you're just going to flick on a system and just manage a couple of replies, and all of a sudden you're going to have bunch of leads raking it in, you are going to be set up for a rude awakening. The truth is that the majority of the work in cold email process actually happens after the lead is generated. Effective inbox management means calling every single person that has a positive reply until they reply, or until they opt out or opt in. Emailing every single positive reply back within 5 minutes or less. Connecting with every single person on LinkedIn right away. Chasing these leads like the cold prospects they are. Managing new positive replies while also managing old positive replies. As I mentioned before, we used to think this internally where you send the emails, and later it's just like you send the emails, you put a lot of effort, you put 99% of effort into launching the emails, and the 1% left is just by managing the inbox. That is not the case. You generate the interest from the cold email, but then which is 30% of the job, but 70% of the job is managing those leads, consistently calling them within 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, directly after they have a positive reply, calling them, replying within less than 5 minutes. All these things to nurture these leads will help you scale with cold email extremely effectively. We book tons of calls through warm calling for us and our clients, and it works extremely well, right? As I said here, right? This could be the difference. All these things could be the difference between you booking in 10 calls or 100 calls in a month, right? You putting in that effort, that extra 70% into making sure every single lead buys at all costs, right, is going to help you scale a lot, right? You are just, it's like ads, right? It's like having an ad without a funnel, right? It's like, positioning your ad as, hey, buy my thing, but then, they click on a call to action and nothing happens, right? It's the same thing with cold email. You launch your email, and if nothing happens, you're not going to convert anyone. So when you send the email, you get the person interested, you do everything in your power to funnel them onto a sales call and close them as a customer, right? That's how that is. But what with the last point being made, I hope you guys have gone some value from this and understand, and kind of can set your expectations going into cold email, and just understand how cold email works, and learning from our mistakes in general, right? All of these things we've thought opposite, right? Cold email is just cold email, and data will never be a problem, but it is, and this is something that I really want to share with you guys, going into cold email. So again, that's the end of this video. I hope this video was super valuable to you. If it was, please do leave a like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.